welcome to another episode of our Day in the Life. I am so excited to have Katie Whittington here with us today. Katie is on Accredited OBM from our OBM School program. Katie, I'd love for you to take a second to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and how on earth you came to find the online business management space.
Thank you so much for having me here. My name is Katie Whittington. As you mentioned, I am an accredited OBM from the OBM School. So I basically have a background in working on political campaigns here in the United States. That is also where I'm from. I grew up in Tampa, Florida, and I have lived in a bunch of different places around the country working on political campaigns. One thing about political campaigns is they are not sustainable work. It is it is a cycle-based job where you are working during an election season type of thing. And so I was really looking for something that I could do outside of that I could make more sustainable and be able not have to worry about getting like a retail job or some sort of thing in between campaigns. So I basically kind of fell down a classic funnel of like VA to finding OBM things and just like, the algorithm worked for me here. I was just like, after like, it was like, oh, VA. And then it was like, oh, OBM things started being advertised for me. And I was like, oh, what is that? And so the algorithm works. It may take a few months, but it works.
Yeah. And it put you through the whole cycle of VA to OBM. Now, that's incredible. I mean, I love that you mentioned that you come from a political background and you've been able to sort of straddle your political career with being an online service support professional, positioning yourself as an online business manager. I think that's really, really important because I often express this. I'm going to say it again. No two OBMs are alike. No two journeys are alike. We all get into this because we have to be resourceful. I moved to the Middle East. You have a career in politics. We have to be resourceful with what we have around us. Did you sit on your computer and Google how to legitimately make money working from home?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, back in like 2021, I think was when I it was after I had worked on the 2020 cycle and before the midterms. And I was just like, all right, luckily enough during 2021, we had, well, not luckily, but we had the stimulant checks and things that were unemployment I was getting Massachusetts unemployment instead of Florida unemployment, which is great. So I was good for most of 2021. And then it got to like fall and I was like, I don't have a full-time job yet. I need to figure out what's going on here. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of where I was Googling things. And then I was like, oh, I can be a VA. I have all of these skills. That's super easy.
That's
and
good.
Then it led me here.
Yeah, I love that. So how did you find your first few clients let's talk about as a VA? Because I know that, we've spoken in the past. I know that you were really operating more like an OBM in disguise. So what did that look like when you were finding your first few clients?
Yeah. So I started working for like one of those virtual assistant agency type things. And I was doing different things for clients like social media work and just like general tech, like general VA admin type of things.
You look like you don't like that much. Or you didn't.
I mean, it wasn't like those things were not my strong suit. And then I ended up getting matched with a client who she does course creation and stuff. And she needed someone to help her with the tech behind like building her funnels and troubleshooting all of those sorts of things. And that I loved. Like that was one of the things that I just really excelled at. And trying to figure out the problem solving behind, okay, why isn't this working? Like what's going on with this type of thing? And so that was kind of what I started figuring out what a tech VA was. And I was introduced to some more clients in that way as well.
And were those clients more OBM oriented clients? Because it sounds like that last one you landed really needed an online business manager.
Yeah. And I think it's a really fine line between being a VA and being an OBM. There's like, especially with all the Facebook groups and stuff I'm in now, I see people, they're like, oh, I really need a VA, but I don't know
Yeah.
what they need to be
Okay.
doing. And I'm like, no, you need an
So let's
OBM.
specifically, because it's not about a fine line. There's a very defined line between VA and OBM. I think for the client, you're saying there's less of a defined line. And I say that all the time. I'm like, your clients don't care if you're call yourself a VA or an OBM. They're not obsessing over the intricacies and
Right.
differences like we are. They just want shit to get done. Okay.
Yep.
So I love that. Okay. So tell me more about what this looked like. So now you're kind of getting some more clients, you're getting better quality clients, clients that I think are resonating more with you. And then how does that continue to evolve?
I mean, it's just like there's not like a specific event or anything that it was just like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and train to be an OBM now. It was just kind of like I just fell into it. And like, I think I started like from one of your freebies and then like went down your funnel type of thing. The 2022 season in the cycle ended and I was available. I'm like, all right, I'm going to have a little bit of time and I can go ahead and take this course now. So that's kind of where I ended up. And as far as, I mean, my client, I definitely feel more comfortable now offering different services where I had I had project management skills before, I had the team management skills before, but it was in a political setting. And it's very hard to be like, okay, I can do these things because I did this thing. And especially with like working in politics, I can't always say, this is a project I worked on, or this is the kind of thing
Oh,
I did.
interesting.
I mean, most things are public, but it's also hard to explain exactly what I did to people who
Right.
don't understand American politics or just politics in general. Now I was able to build a portfolio and like do things that are more with the online world.
Because of the project
Um,
in OBM school in our inside our
exactly.
education. Yeah. And we
Yeah.
specifically create those projects in a way that enables you to kind of feel a lot more confident about offering online business management skills like project management. So I'm glad that that's what it did for you because I see that happening for a lot of other people. And I know that for myself as well, that you're a confident person. Like I immediately can tell that about you to begin with, like you're in politics, you have to be very confident. You have to keep that straight face. But also you have to really be aware of the differences between the online space and how to kind of move that over. So your clients have sort of evolved since. I know that it's not like a full-time thing for you being an OBM. What does it look like when you're in season, so to speak? And have you experienced that yet? Because I know that obviously we're talking in cycles here. Like, have you had to OBM and do your political career at the same time?
Not quite. I have done like the VA client I mentioned, I've had her for about 2 years now. So
Oh,
I
wow.
was doing work for her while I was
You still under the agency with her?
yes, because they have lots of rules. We're separating now, like we are trying to separate and just work together on our own. But that takes like 10 months.
Right.
It's a process. So I was working for her hourly while I was working at an organization last year, but that was before I was accredited and before I was truly trying to be an OBM. So now during this off season, a lot of what I'm doing is, I like to start working between like 10 and 11. Love the flexibility.
Hello. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Tell me
I
more. Tell me
don't.
more about what does your day look like? So, because
Yeah,
I don't function before 10. Like
I
I'm still
don't. I
up.
get
I've
it.
got little kids, so like I'm up and I'm with
Yeah,
the dog and I'm like drinking coffee and stuff like that. But I don't start doing any kind of work before 11 or 10.
yeah, same. Like I get up around like 7:30ish and then kind of just like slowly start my day, do my Duolingo, learn some Spanish,
Oh, I love that.
my routine.
We're like the students for life type personality. I find that such a core quality of us OBMs. Okay, so you started telling me a little bit about, you've got that agency client. How have you found new clients since?
I have found a lot of luck in like Facebook groups. Like I mentioned, talking like people who are like, oh, I need a VA, but I don't need to know don't know what they
Right.
need to do. And it's like I have found a few people like doing like a project planning session or like setting up their CRMs or doing things like that. I've found work just, answering comments in Facebook groups and just being
Oh
like,
yeah, so being like
actually,
a supportive lovely
Yeah.
human being. Geez, that works. That is
Yeah.
one good method of finding clients. So has that resulted in new clients for you?
Yeah. I've had a handful of clients that I've gotten in that way.
Are you using the OBM School framework with the dating projects and everything with those clients?
Yes.
Good.
I've changed, well, not changed, but like something that I've done, like the breakthrough strategy session type of things. I've turned that into kind of like a project planning week that I
Great.
offer with my
Lovely.
clients. Yeah. Especially because
I
I
love
have
put
like,
your own spin on it. It's
yeah.
amazing. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I have ADHD. I get migraines all the time. I don't know, like I can't always predict when my energy is going to be good, when I'm not going to have a headache. And I also work with neurodivergent clients as well. So I know that having like the flexibility of like, we're going to work on this for like a week asynchronously and like we'll have a kickoff meeting and like talk through things, but having the option where it's like spread out so I don't have to like I know I'm going to have enough energy to get it done within a week rather than, a VIP day or like those
Likewise,
types of things.
your clients. So I love this because so it sounds to me like you have put a lot of effort into creating services that can really appeal to your neurodivergent clients. You talk a little bit about just now you mentioned how you modify the way you deliver projects and your services. Like it's, I think, really genius. What else can you share with us? Or for those particular clients who are maybe looking for an OBM, who are listening to this podcast right now, and they may or may not be diagnosed, what does that look like?
Yeah, the way I like to really start working with every client is just kind of, once we decide we're going to work together, whether it's like a one-time VIP week or that's how I start with all my clients anyway. It's just kind of them brain dumping at me. For some reason, I'm really good at, problem solving and planning for other people. Not as much for myself, but other people. Like one time, I was helping my friend with a bunch of wedding tasks that she had to do for a wedding, and she's just like, "All right, I'm going to talk at you," and then I was able to make her like a little project plan of the things she needed to do.
It's hilarious. I just have to say this because when I tell people, here are the qualities that make you a good OBM. If you're like X, Y, and Z, one of them is always like, do you have friends that dump all their shit on you and expect you to come up with a plan? Oh, if that's you, you're going to make an excellent OBM. Like it's one of the core characteristics. And it's so funny because every time, like just how you just described it, like it's so like, raw and true.
Mm-hmm.
I love that because, I always say that the hard skills, yes, you have to learn them. Don't get me wrong. You have to practice them, but it's really those soft skills that you're mentioning, like problem solving, communicating, dealing with, difficult conversations. It's those things that are really more innate to us. And then it's so funny because in the same vein, we probably don't, I know for myself, it took me many years. So I'm speaking for myself here, but I never really valued those qualities in myself, like being the planner, being like the kind of go-to person. I never really valued that. So sometimes I never charged my clients for those things. And now I'm like, damn it, those were like my best moments of planning and problem solving. I bet they dump all the stuff and you can like prioritize and like pick out things. And it's like, oh my God, but I just see them on the wall. It's like so natural to me. And it's like, no, that's you. Not everybody's like that. So I love that. I love that.
Yeah. And I also really like, because I work with neurodivergent clients and clients who have ADHD, chronic illness, we are all different. Like it's not, I really love Notion. Notion's very complicated for a lot of people. A lot of people just want like, a list of things that they need to do.
Notion is a project management tool. Yes.
Yes. And it's basically like a sandbox. You can do whatever you want in it. You can make it look however you want.
For better or worse.
Yeah. Which is great for people like me, but not great with people who aren't, don't know what they need.
Right.
And so I like to get to know those different project management tools, and I'm going to build your project, or I like to plan out their project or whatever I'm planning for them in the tools they already use.
Right.
It's not like, oh, I'm going to do a ClickUp setup. It's like, no, I'm going to set up wherever you already are.
Right. Yeah, that's a really important point to make here because I think a lot of the times an OBM or any service support professional would go into someone's business and like literally blow it up from the bottom up because they're like, oh, these tools aren't tools that I like or that I use. And one of the important things that we talk about inside of accreditation and inside of OBM school is, don't shake up too much in the first 90 days because you ain't gonna be for sure that you're going to continue working with that client. And we really want to focus on quick wins to get things off clients' plates. And, sometimes when you blow up a piece of tech, meaning you put something else in place to replace that, there's like a trickle effect that literally has ramifications that affect every last piece. So yes, we're not getting in there and shaking it too much, but we want to sort of capture what the client's already doing and then improve it and make it better. So
right. Yeah. Like how can I optimize the tools that you already use to work better for you?
Man, yes.
Yeah. And that's something like, I feel like anyone who's been in like the corporate world or like any world really, like when you have to learn a new tool, that itself is a project.
Yes, it is. Yes. Yeah. And that's so funny because, well, not funny, it's kind of sad. I feel like with all the SaaS, like the service as a software products on the market today, a lot of our OBMs, especially the ones who join us for OBM week, we do a whole day, dedicated to tech and talking about the tech stack because people are so intimidated by technology. And it's just like you said, Katie, like you're never going to know all the things. So get over it. So just over it. There's always going to be a learning curve. You have to bake that in. You got to price that in. You got to set the client's expectation. It's just getting worse. There's more tech. And in addition to that, that's why we have jobs as OBMs, because in the world of IT, nothing speaks to anything else and everything breaks all the time. So like, that's the other fun little wrench in that bag of tricks, right?
It's always something new. And like, even the tools you do know are always going to change. So it's just like, just adapt.
Over it, guys.
Figure it out.
It's tough. Yeah, but that's why we have jobs. Yes. Okay. So you did start by saying that you start your day late like me. So what does a typical day in the life of Katie as an OBM look like?
Yeah. So I try not to do anything client-wise on Mondays.
Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. I'm joking.
Yeah. Mondays are for, this kind of thing, like interviewing, finding clients, working on like
business development. I love that because normally I put that on Friday, but I love that you do it on Monday because you prioritize what you need to do for your business. That's a solid business owner. That's good. I like that. That's solid.
Yeah. And it also just kind of helps me like ease into things for the week. Like it's a planning day. It's not a catch up day, but like a miscellaneous kind of day.
Yeah.
And so I like to do that. I have a newsletter that I send out every Tuesday called Neurodivergent Notions. Just about like, little like tips and tricks for having systems and operations in your business for people who are neurodivergent like me. So I normally write that. That's something that I normally do on Mondays too. And then like Tuesday through Thursday, normally client work. I probably do like 5-6 hours.
Oh, wow. A day, every day?
So, yeah.
You sit and do that straight or you do?
No.
I was like, wow, that'd be really impressive.
I work really well from basically like mid-morning to early afternoon. And then I start to crash around 1 or 2, sometimes 2 or 3. And then I like take a little break for a few hours. And then I'm also really productive. I work really well in the evening as well.
Yeah, me too. I'm a night owl as well.
Yeah. So it's definitely split up. A few hours here, a few hours there. But that's what works for like my brain and energy level.
And typically, like, what does like a typical task look like for you in just like, let's take 1 day from last week. Like was it project management mostly? Like, what are the kinds of things that you do for your clients?
Yeah. So I definitely project management, like, okay, I want to get this thing done. What are we like, how can we get from
implementation? Yeah.
And then also, because I was a tech VA, a lot of my clients also have me help with like their funnel builds. And,
I think there's like, we were talking about fine lines at the beginning of this interview. And I think for me, because I'm like you in a lot of ways, I love tech. I love the funnel builds. It was always something that lit me up in my earlier days of OBMing. And I still do that in my own business. I will go down a rabbit's hole. Is that the expression? Down a hole.
Yeah, rabbit hole is it? Yeah.
Down some hole, and I'm finding myself, changing my automations and doing all this tech stuff. And so what I want to say here is tech implementation at that high level where you are doing things and making decisions because you know the vision and the big picture are very much OBM tech implementation type tasks. You're not just like scheduling emails to a CRM automation tool, right? You're actually thinking critically and thinking constructively about what and why and how and who you're doing it for, all the things. So I think that that's very much OBM implementation. It's always high level tech. If you can, sometimes it's copywriting. Sometimes it's creating something so that the client have a blank slate that they're working from.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing. You mentioned CRMs. I love building a CRM setup in like Honeybook, Dubsado. What?
What's your favorite one?
Right now I'm using Honeybook. I think they all have a lot of great features. Right now I don't need anything too tech heavy, and Honeybook, I like the way I can make things look in Honeybook better than the other ones. Yeah, but there's things in Dubsado, like Dubsado has a lot more like customization tech things that you can use. So it's just a matter of what you need. I wish I could combine them all together. If I knew how to build tech, I would probably combine them all together into something
So if one thing breaks, it all explodes.
Right. Take the features I like from this tool and then this tool and make it one thing. I wish I could do that, but
nothing's perfect, right? As they say. So you mentioned that your clients are neurodivergent. Do they all have similar businesses?
No.
What are your clients like? What does that mix look like for anyone listening thinking like, yeah, I want to land OBM clients. Maybe their background is similar to yours, Katie, but they're like, what does this even look like? What do these clients do?
I've had clients who are poets, she's a poet who helps other authors and creatives market themselves, but then also does her own poetry. I've had clients who are fitness coaches, clients who are course creators in some sort of marketing setup. I worked with a client who works with a snow removal company in Canada. So it's just learned that there's a whole CRM for their client relationship management tool just for people who run snow removal companies.
I know. Yeah, I know. There's a CRM for everything. Tell people. I was like, oh, you want a niche? Oh, there'll be a CRM. There'll be not just one, maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah. So I was like, there's a whole tool for snow removal, which, living in Florida is not something that I think about.
Do you have any local clients in Florida?
No, I do not.
Do you ever? Okay, Florida is a great place for conferences. Do you ever go to conferences to find clients?
I have not looked into that yet a lot. I am really good at talking when I have to talk. I am not so great at the whole awkward in-person type of thing.
I'm the same way, but you know what? Digital marketing events are great because everybody feels like that.
That's a good
They're all in their pajamas, and they're also all in their pajamas. So
yes.
It feels like home because I don't have to get that dressed up. And everybody's awkward and better behind their computer.
Yeah.
All, have that awkward,
I haven't looked into any. I'll need to see if there's some around.
There are great ones in Florida. There's great ones in Orlando. I know that's not so close to Tampa, but it's not so far.
It's not. No.
You get in a car and drive for a few hours. It's not.
Yeah. Used to live there. So or to Disney World.
Yeah. That's awesome. This was a really great interview. I know that our audience has probably gotten some really, really great tips out of, just having a really unique career as an OBM. What would you say to anybody thinking about becoming accredited?
I would say if it's something that you're thinking about and you can not have the time, but can make the time and the investment to do it, do it. It is definitely a benefit. I learned a lot working in this program, and it also helps you learn what skills you already have that can be marketed.
Right. Yeah, because we all have really solid skills. So if anybody wants to get in touch with you about working with you as an online business manager, Katie, how can they find you in the online space?
My business is called The Wit Workflows, WHIT Workflows, and I use that handle on Facebook, Instagram, etc. Email is the same, Katie at The Wit Workflows, and that's also the website. So if you that's where I am everywhere. And whichever space you like to use the best, that's the best way to find me.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Katie, for hanging out and for sharing a little bit about what it looks like for a day in the life of your OBM business. And thank you guys for listening, and stay tuned for more incredible interviews with other accredited OBMs.
Thank you.